question, you can attribute that we are talking about Pakistan federal government. So I mean, there might be few overlaps. People might be answering. They will be reflecting upon their feelings about the provincial governments, but essentially the essence of our the questions, they are about the entire country. So please keep noting down your questions if you have any. So first, talking about that, what is this? We had actually conceived this about 15 years ago, whereby we had thought of how we can develop something which can encompass the feelings of the consumers about whenever there are some macro indicators, going better or whatever. If they do not translate into the consumer confidence, of course, it means that there is something wrong. So generally, in the we cover the, and we had identified these are the important essential elements, let's say the pillars of the consumer confidence, whereby we can ask, how people feel about the current state of economic situation and the future. Also, and of the local economy, here we are not talking about anything about the global. Whichever the country we go in, we ask about that particular country. Personal financial situation, confidence to make some large purchases and the normal general purchases. So these are the things what we do, and also about the savings. If are you able to make some savings or not, and the proxy question for that savings is that how do you feel like if you can invest into major purchases, like purchasing a car, or on a plot or something big. Okay, because if you can do all those things only when you have some saving. So what we are talking about here, that we started that in globally in 2010, and all these countries, and in Pakistan 2019 onward. And the way we collect the data, the way we process the data, the way we develop the index, it remains consistent. So all the numbers, the indicators which we will be sharing with you, they are consistent, so they are comparable. The framework, as I told you, and I just giving you these are the four. If we develop these four indices, and then these four indices, they actually we run the algorithm, and that comes into the one single index number for every country, for every market. So, and these are the which I just explained to you. Current index, you can see that economic climate, ability to make household purchases, job security, and investment confidence. And then expectation, how is it going to happen in the upcoming months, in 6 months or so. And then investment index, and then the final one, as I told you, the job index. So these questions, as I told before, they remain consistent. So we do not change the wording, articulation of those questions, during the course. So in Pakistan, I think it's important that how do we go about it? First, that we collect the data through computer-assisted telephonic interviewing. And let me explain to you, CATI is not telephonic interviews. So, of course, we use the telephone, but mobile phone, but does not mean that we just pick the phone and keep dialing. There is absolutely no human interface in the selection of the numbers or in the dialing of the numbers. Its system does it. I mean, to give you a little bit of more understanding, I mean, we know what are the prefixes in Pakistan. And for each, 0345, 0300, whatever, we know all the prefixes. And we precisely know, there are 7 digits afterwards. So all these 7 digits against those prefixes, they are generated randomly numbers. And then the system, in one line, it does dial about 200, what we call 200 and more calls simultaneously. And of course, there would be many numbers which are just imaginary. So of course, there will be no ring, there will be no ping happening over there. So whichever the people, they pick the phone, and then of course there is a mechanism that we need to introduce, and then we go on. So in numbers, I mean, if you see, I mean, this is the 1000, and many people, I hope some of you might have those questions also, that uh, that 1000 a sample seems at times small in the wake of 225 million people, but it's not the case. Sampling is always the sample. If you can remember and note down, the sample is always independent of the size of universe. It all depends how do you select the sample. As long as the sample selected is representative of the target audience, and it gives you the ability to dissect some the overall sample into some sub segments. So the ideal number for any is called 384, is the magic number. If the sample is that much, you can actually rely the analysis of that 384 and the multiples of 384, that brings to 1000. So most of the countries, what we are doing, they are running 1000 sample every month, and of course we cover the entire country. So it and once the data is collected, depending upon that what is the actual the gender ratio, the provincial ratio, we precisely know what are the numbers of these ratios in Pakistan. So we weight the data to reflect the entire country. And here, I think we must also be aware of one of the important caveat, that this survey does not actually encompass people having no mobile phone connection. So, of course, there are about 30% almost people in Pakistan across urban, rural geographies who are not having any kind of mobile phone. Yes, this is, in an ideal world, we should have covered them. But the cost of gathering data from those people who are not connected on mobile phones, it is very expensive bit, and that cannot be done, in a few days' time. But the good part is that the 70% of Pakistan, I'm just rounding off the number just to be, to memorize them easily, that 70% of the people who are having mobile phone connection means that we have been able to capture over 95% of the people who have the purchasing power. So it is yes, the 70% of Pakistanis, they are likely to be, reflecting over 90% to 95% of the Pakistan purchasing power as a consumer. So if we are covering those, through KETI, so it is we can easily, we confidently we can say that it is a representative sample of Pakistan. I'm spending more time here so that I mean the some of the frequently asked questions can be answered here. The data collection of this particular wave, that has been done from 11th to 18th February of this year, in this month. And also, I would like to highlight, and I would like to request you to note that this study has never had any kind of external partners or sponsors. Ipsos does not, sell this information to any client in the world and in Pakistan, because that gives us the strength that we would like to be, seen and understood and believed to be independent, no non-partisan, so that I mean all the reflection, so they cannot be adulterated, they cannot be influenced by any regime or any kind of external stakeholders. So it is very important that Ipsos has been doing this kind of survey in Pakistan and around the world, because I mean in Pakistan, thanks God, we are the largest company or research company in Pakistan. So I think we have obligation to keep Pakistanis informed. What do they feel like? And that's what I mean. You would have been noticing a scroll going on before this presentation started. We have been doing a lot of surveys which we release publicly. Almost every month we release two or three public releases. So starting from the Pakistan, the very first and the most important thing, how do people feel like Pakistan going in the right direction or in the wrong direction? Unfortunately, a big majority in Pakistan, they still believe 7 in 10 that Pakistan is heading in the wrong direction. And these 31%, they are the people who consider Pakistan is heading to the right direction. And this 31% or 69%, how does that it fares against fare against the global average? The global average is 37 and 63. But the good news here is that 31%, it is it how it has evolved. I will show you in the coming slide. But here it's important that the people who are considering this to be heading in the right direction, what are their breakups? So the breakups are like this. So male in Pakistan, they have little better feeling about country to be in the right direction. And then in the rural areas, people are feeling little better. And in Punjab is significantly better than. It is equivalent to the global average. In Punjab, people are feeling to be more, heading in the right direction. And then also the middle-aged people, the working class, let's say, they are having again a very good confidence, which is equivalent to the global average. So that is the breakup. So in the pattern, in the slides to come, you'll see that first we'll show you the national picture, and then the breakup by different demographics, and then I will also show you the pattern, how it has evolved in the last 6 years. In the last 6 years, you can see here that that 31%, that has been the highest number since last six.
Last slide. What do you mean by male, female, sec A, B, C, D, E?
Okay. Males are males and females are females.
No. I mean SECA.
Okay. Socio-economic class. So you can discuss with me, what is socio-economic class, because it's a proxy of people, having privileged from, for example, socio-economic class A is highly privileged and let's say rich. I mean, why do we use, and not we use, in fact, I mean, I feel pride that I am the actually founder of this socio-economic classification in Pakistan, which is used across all Pakistan since last more than 25 years. Okay, and that is a proxy of your asking income. I mean, in Pakistan, since you have asked the question, I have to explain. Otherwise, I would prefer, I mean, I would go on. But here, if you ask anybody, what is your income? What do you expect? How people will respond? It all depends on, I mean, if the respondent is considering you what? Who is this guy or this person calling me? And then it also depends, if the income is asked by some a guy, a boy, a male person. It all depends, who are the people around them. Okay, वो ससुराल में पूछ रहे हैं या दोस्तों के सामने पूछ रहे हैं. तो इसी तरह खवातीन से अगर एज पूछी जाए, there are ways how to derive their socio-economic class. I hope I have answered your question. So what I was telling you, so this was the PTI government. Then the PDM, I think Pakistanis, they had a rock bottom. They had hit the rock bottom when they told only 2% in Pakistan. 2% only Pakistan. They considered, that it is heading in the right direction, and the 98%, 94% actually, yeah, because there are some people who are unable to, comment on that. But this was the poor state of confidence. I mean, if the country is heading in the right direction and in the wrong direction. So, but I think from that caretaker setup, onward things getting started getting better. And then now the 31%, that optimism, which initially in the previous slide we considered, that I mean 70% in Pakistan they are considering going in the right or in the wrong direction. But here I think the ray of hope is that now at least the 3 in 10 they are considering to be going in the right direction now. And this has been the highest since we have started tracking this sentiment in 2019. Next is about, we ask people, what is your most worrying problem in facing? And of course, the answers are multiple. So it's not that only one answer. So people, well, our surveyors, our callers, they keep on asking any other, any other. So that's why numbers you can see they do not add to 100, rather they are multiple hundreds. So you see, in Pakistan, people are still they're considering the bigger issues are not internet speed. The bigger issue is not then for them is the firewall. The biggest issue they're facing is their economic challenges. So they are the most worrying nation. They are continuing to be the right. You can see it had the inflation and unemployment. It has always been a big issue for them. Of course, the numbers have been different, but again, I would say it is always, I mean, how you talk about half glass full and half glass empty. Because if we look at this in the last 1 year, all these economic challenges, economic concerns, they have dropped, ranging from 3% minus to 18 to 26. So it means that the Ghane Badal, I mean, the clouds that they have not gone away. They are still looming on your heads, these economic concerns. But now the lives of Pakistanis, they are considering to be little, getting easier. So that is something which is, again, I would say, a different lens to look at. Otherwise, 70% of people, they are still considering this to be high, very high. But the change which has taken place in the last 1 year, that has been a tremendous. You can see the trajectory. When PTI government they completed their first year, and the first year that information that the 69, what you can see here, that was the 77. So in the first year is a really comparable number. You can compare. So that is the 10 percentage points less than when BTI completed its first year. And then we move to the current index, how people feel like about the current state of the economy. Is it strong, weak? Again, a big majority, huge majority, two-thirds of Pakistan, they're considering this to be weak. But there are people who are considering it neither strong nor weak, and there are only 1 in 5 who consider it is strong. Is the current state of the economy. And this is the breakup. Again, uh, the females here, they consider a little better than others. And socioeconomic class A people, the people with the, let's say, higher income groups, they are considering to be, their understanding, their appreciation is little better. Don't worry, we will give you the press release, which would have major highlights. If you and if, I would also be available to, answer many of the questions later on if you want. How it has evolved? Again, this 20% seems 1 in 5 is very small number. A big minority, I would say, huge minority. But that 20% we never hit in the last 6 years. The always this situation has attained a maximum level of 13% in December 2020. That was when it was the first year of the pandemic. So you can see that I think that these trajectories, these evolutions, at times are more important than the absolute numbers for this particular way. But this 20% is the and this is the highest number is the and you see in 1 year this government they have been able to multiply that is a 5 times higher in 1 year. So that to me is reflects that people have started feeling more ease and confidence. And then we have asked us, that how do you feel like? And for your ease, we have also given you the translation, which we actually asked the question. That how about your normal household purchases? How do you feel like? Do you feel confident or not? So now again, 12% is we feel more comfortable, but there is a drop in the less comfortable also. And the numbers there you can see that when this started, it was 10% in up to in August 2019, and now it's up to 12. Expectations to so the question was, how do you feel like that in 6 months from now how the things would change to better or not? So here again is a 31% people they consider it will be getting stronger, and the weaker that percentage has gone down. Remember, just look at this, that it was 80 88%, and now when we ask that 80%, the same people, half of them they consider it of 80% almost, they consider half of them consider now it would be better. So I think that direction is important to be reported, to be told to the nation that now at least they have a confidence that things would get better. And this is again the breakup. Punjab has the best. Punjab has the best 40% confidence. That is let's say is a quarter of is a 25% bigger than the national average. And again, this is how it has evolved. You can see that when it was the PTI government, they completed their first year. This the stronger expectation about the future that was 18%, and now it has gone to 31%. So this is the gap which you can see. But and this again, this positive, I would say, optimism has attained its highest level in this way. Investment index, where I told you that asking if people can invest, how did their personal situation, personal financial situation is going to happen in the next 6 months. Over here, the number is not that high. It is less than about the national thing. People they still need to believe that it's not the government, the whole country. Rather, also it might be that it can come to their home as well. So that confidence needs to be built, but that number again is getting better. And remember that it had hit the rock bottom when the PDM government that they had started off. Oh, sorry, yeah, PDM government. Again, this is a huge number that if your ability to use money for the for some of your investment, etc., can you afford that? Still people about 90% they are not comfortable. This is so I think people are in that transition. They can, I would translate as a researcher, they have started seeing, believing little bit that things will go better, but it has not synced fully. So they are struggling to believe. I think some of them they would say it's too good to be true. Okay, so that it can knock at the prosperity can knock at their home as well. And making major purchases, that is too bad. People don't have the savings. They don't have, yes, the inflation has gone down, but their income hasn't grown that much that they can start saving for the major things. Okay, so people not have been able to recover, and that actually I think sinks in very well. The stagnation happening in the real estate market, in the other markets. So the investments are not happening the way the people would expect.
Do you have an SEC breakup in that?
Yes, we have, but I think not in this. But if you want, I mean, we can give you further break. But what will be the breakup? I mean, if the 94% they are, so I think
I just wanted to know who are investing, who is spending the money.
no, I think you might be interested in to learn that who are these 6% who are. Yeah. So I think we need to really zoom into those people who feel that I mean they can invest. I don't know who are the beneficiary of all that happening, but it does not look nice. And the nations who cannot save are not likely to grow. So it's uncertainty. Of course, exactly, and this how you rightly mentioned. It is the stability. It is the certainty which can people then they can actually and they are expecting. It's not good. Okay, job index 20%, 105 they consider more confident. You know that I mean if their job is going to continue or not. And over here, you can see that the people in the lower part of the pyramid of the society, they don't have that certainty. They don't have confidence about their jobs. Only 15%, only 17%. Yes, people, middle class and upper middle class and the privileged class, they are now having more confidence in their job security. So, but mind it, these SEC D and E, they are 3 times bigger in size in absolute numbers than socioeconomic class A and B. So, majority of the Pakistanis they are not feeling well. They are not. They don't have the certainty. But again, looking at 19%, how it has evolved over time in the last 6 years, it's important that this 19%, I mean, that was the case when PTI completed first year. It went up to 18%, 18%, but then it went down to 5% when the PDM government was concluding its regime, and the caretaker government comes into place, whereby it was only 5%. So I think from that 5% going to about 20%, again, I think I think it's no harm that we need to congratulate the people on the helm affairs. I mean, they have been able to at least make some inroads to build the confidence. So again, 19% is the ever highest number. So how that index has changed in the last 1 year, we have the numbers from before as well. I will show you. But in last 1 year, Pakistan, India has, of course, and I mean, Pakistan is way behind still the global average. Pakistan is still behind, okay, but it has improved by 2.7%. It's only South Africa who has developed, but otherwise, most of the nation we are covering in this global survey, they have lost the indices. And look at the India, about 10 percentage points in 1 year they have lost. Okay, so I think in those gloomy situations, if Pakistan has been able to get that 2.7% plus, as a researcher, I consider it to be a good improvement in the right direction. And this has been the overall chart, and you can see that in June 20 we had made a big dip actually in this index. So, but this is the global average. You can also see that. So that's all. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I taken 3 minutes more than 45 minutes, but I think we started 3 minutes later. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. And now a floor is open for any kind of questions. जी प्लीज.
सर जी मुझे आपने एक रिपोर्ट में बताया कि एक तकरीबन 70% पाकिस्तानी जो है उनकी ये राय है कि वो हुकूमत की सिम से जो है वो मुतमईन नहीं है,
हुकूमत की, मुल्क की.
हुकूमत की सिम से मुतमईन नहीं है। तो ये 6 साल का सर्वे है या सिर्फ 1 साल का सर्वे है?
जी, ये हम सर्वे हर क्वार्टर में करते हैं, हर 3 महीने में एक दफा करते हैं.
काइंड फ्लाइट बार आप दिखा भी देंगे, इसमें 2 फ्लाइट्स हैं जिसमें आप 6 साल भी दिखा रहे हैं।
नहीं, वो 6 साल दिखा रहे हैं वो.
पीडीएफ का कॉल भी
जी जी, मैं आपको दिखा देता हूँ. जी, ये है जी वो स्लाइड जिसका आप जिक्र कर रहे थे, मेरा ख्याल है इसका जिक्र कर रहे थे. तो ये 6 साल का अकेले का नहीं है, बल्कि ये हर पॉइंट जो नजर आ रहा है उस 3 महीने के दरमियान का डेटा है, उस 3 महीने का. नीचे डेट मेंशन लिखी हुई है. ये किस किस उसकी अब क्लियर हो गया जी आपको? ठीक. जी प्लीज.
सर ये जो आपका सर्वे है इसके मुताबिक तो things are not going
These are,
things are not going good.
of course they are not going good.
गवर्नमेंट ये क्लेम करती है कि उन्होंने 1 साल की जो परफॉर्मेंस है वो किसी भी गवर्नमेंट का प्रीवियस गवर्नमेंट्स के से जो उनकी परफॉर्मेंस है वो बेहतर है. आपने डेटा कंपाइल किया है 1000+ पीपल से. जो 1000+ पीपल्स है इसके अकॉर्डिंग कैसे इतनी बड़ी परसेप्शन क्रिएट हो सकती है? और ये 1000 जो आपने कॉन्टेक्ट्स किया है इनमें जो आपने सोशियो इकोनॉमिक क्लास को चूज किया है इसकी आपने क्वालिटी को कैसे मेजर किया है कि ये जो लोग हैं इसके अगेंस्ट में जाके ये सर्वे इसकी ये स्टडी हो सकती है? माइट भी मैं थोड़ा सा डिलीवर नहीं कर पा रहा.
नहीं नहीं, आपका
जो मेरे माइंड में बेसिकली चल रहा है कि जो ये क्लास है जो 1000+ पीपल्स है इनको हम कैसे वेरीफाई कर सकते हैं कि यही लोग फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ
जी
पे
जी.
50+ हैं लोग या whatever
तो
जितने
इन ये पाकिस्तान को कैसे रिफ्लेक्ट करेंगे, ये आपका सवाल है.
ओनली 1000
हाँ.
कैसे जो है वो रिफ्लेक्ट कर
जबरदस्त.
सकते हैं और उसकी
गुड क्वेश्चन.
जो क्वालिटी है
उसको कैसे करेंगे?
हाँ.
हाँ.
थैंक यू सो मच.
Pardon me, look, if I can answer that question in the local language and the people who can't understand Urdu. हम घरों में खाना बनाते हैं, घर बनता है ना, घरों में खाना भी बनता है, और बड़े लेवल पे कभी शादी ब्याह में बड़ा भी बनता है. मतलब आप अंदाज़ा लगाएं कि बिरयानी जो है वो या चावल जो है वो घर में आपने बनाए हैं और एक छोटी सी एक कुकर में बनाए हैं, और एक बहुत बड़ी देग में भी बनते हैं. जो पकाने वाला होता है या होती है वो कैसे चखता है उसके बन गया कि नहीं बना? वो एक चम्मच ही होता है, ठीक है ना. अब उस चम्मच के बारे में उसको उस चम्मच को बुरा भला कहा जाए कि ये चम्मच ही गलत था, वो ठीक नहीं है. जो मैंने आपकी शायद आने से पहले मैंने एक्सप्लेन किया था कि सैंपल साइज इज ऑलवेज इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ साइज ऑफ यूनिवर्स. तो 1000 का सैंपल जो है वो छोटी देगची पे घर में खाना बना रहे हैं या बहुत बड़े देग में बना रहे हों, यानी कि यही 1000 सैंपल इज गुड फॉर यूएस, more than 300 million people. It's good for China, over a billion people, in India, forever. It all depends that how you have scientifically selected the sample randomly. That is the most important thing. We being the global company, we can't take the risk that when we talk to these 1000 people, we choose by our will or our liking or disliking. It has to be scientifically randomly selected. If that has been ensured, which we do, वो एक चम्मच जो है वो छोटे देगचे का हो या बड़ी देग का हो, दैट वुड गिव यू द राइट आंसर. और हमारे हमारे जब सबके जिस्म के अंदर खून जो है मौजूद होता है, काफ़ी सारा होता है, लेकिन हम कितने ml का सैंपल देते हैं? और ब्लड शुगर के लिए तो शायद इतना सा कतरा भी काफ़ी होता है. कतरे को भी हम कभी कहते हैं कि ये इतना बड़ा. It is not important that how much the blood has taken. because it is expected, it is randomly distributed. Whatever the molecules or the germs or whatever bacteria are flowing in your body, they are actually having a same. So as long as you are able to prick rightly and get the one drop, that should be good enough for lab testing. I hope I have answered you in a very quick manner. Mukhtar sir.
सर ये जो 31% क्या है और 20% है
अच्छा, मैं इसी स्लाइड पर रहूं, ये तो इन्होंने पूछा था कि किसी और स्लाइड पे चले जाए.
from previous like 6 years there is no 31%.
No, never in the last 6 years.
Yes, and in one quarter it seems quite strange that this jump has seen. Have you asked the people when you were asking the question, because you would have the data, that how what are the changes? What is the optimism do people see in this regime? अभी हमारे दोस्तों को कह रहे थे मरियम नवाज दिवस में हो गया सब.
क्यों हो गया जी?
मरियम नवाज दिवस में हो गया था.
अच्छा,
So people do like their own political party.
मुख्तार साहब आपने बड़ा अच्छा सवाल हो गया, मुकम्मल आपने पूछा. हम जब आईडीसी में देने जाएं, आगा खान लेबॉर्ट्री में खून देने जाते हैं, कभी हमने रिपोर्ट जब लेते हैं, कभी उससे पूछते हैं कि ये तुमने कैसे निकाला है, ये मेरा हेमोग्लोबिन इतना क्यों बताया है, मेरे फलां प्लेटलेट्स ये क्यों बताए हैं? डू यू एवर आस्क? We should also not ask the respondent. We should not punish them for expressing their opinion. It should be the people, the right stakeholders who need to interpret, like doctors and specialists. They interpret those results. What is happening behind the scene? What is the core cause? Because बुखार जो होता है वो कोई बीमारी नहीं है. It is something going wrong. So it is all depends on the experts how to interpret and how to make way forward. Hope I answered question. Ji, please.
Can we go back to the slides on the methodology?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So for the approach, I'm just trying to connect with the question on economics. So my question is basically on the menu of options that you presented for the economic concerns. So there's inflation, there are other stuff. Maybe we can go back to that slide.
We can go. Yes, this is what.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know what within the methodology, how did you decide, or what was the process of deciding like these are the options that we're going to present?
We do not present.
So this is something open.
Yes. No. These are the unsolicited, the responses which people utter. Of course, they come with the wording, the articulation might be a bit different, but over time we have developed that coding. Okay, so when they hear, what has been told, where to hit, where to click, where to put the number. So it is not something we presented and people chose. No, it's not. It's whatever people would say. That's why we keep on asking, what else worries you? What else worries you? So until they stop the no, that's what.
Usually an open-ended question.
It's open-ended question. It's open.
These are like the top 5 categories.
Of course, there are many. Of course, there are many.
Anything worth mentioning or something that struck out which is not included?
Well, there are many. For example, people talk about health, people talk about roads, people talk about policing, people talk about law and order situation, terrorism. There are many other things, even climate change. Of course, the level is very small, but you see, again, in local, यार लोगों को खाने का मसला है भाई, लोगों की जिंदगी का मसला है, लोगों के रोजगार का मसला है. वो बाकी सब चीजें तो बंदा के रावण नेड़े के चपेट नेड़े बंदे से तो खाना मसला जाएगा, लोगों के मसाइल हैं.
Usually talk about top of mind.
Yes, top of mind, but we try to get under the skin as much as possible. We should not penalize the respondent. We should not interrogate. We should ask only. Ji, please.
So ये जो आपका कंज्यूमर कॉन्फिडेंस सर्वे, ये एक ऐसे मौके पे जब पाकिस्तान में IMF आके
चीज़ें देख रहे हैं हमारी अकाउंटेबिलिटी और गवर्नेंस की, और हम प्राइवेटाइजेशन की तरफ जा रहे हैं, और कंज्यूमर कॉन्फिडेंस सर्वे आपका, ये कितना जो हेल्पफुल होगा या इस पे असर डालेगा, कितना इसका असर पड़ता है ग्लोबली भी और पाकिस्तान के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में
जी, I don't know when how it was a good question, but I don't know how to answer. अगर रोजाना पता चलता हो कि टेम्परेचर कितना है, तो उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है कि वो किसी को बताया जाए कि ना बताया जाए? आप देखें, हम तो मुसलसल करते हैं, मेरा पैगाम मोहब्बत है जहाँ तक पहुँचे। अब उसको लोग इस्तेमाल करें ना करें, बाकी दुनिया के अंदर इसको बहुत अहमियत दी जाती है। बताऊं, 30 मुल्कों का आपको हम दिखाया आपको, वहां पे कंज्यूमर कॉन्फिडेंस इज कंसिडर्ड मोर इम्पोर्टेंट देन मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक इंडिकेटर्स, विच एट टाइम्स can be manipulated, can be fudged, can be, artificially, uh, you know, stitched up. But consumer confidence is something which talks about people, normal people. I think this is, to me, is a kind of a learning and wake up call for people, in the top hierarchy. That, I mean, what do they need to learn from it? So I'm not sure if I've answered the question, but this is something up to the stakeholders. But our job is that every quarter we don't consider if IMF is coming or not coming. We have been doing it, and this is what Ipsos does all the way. Ji, please.
इस्लामाबाद में बैठकर इस्लामाबाद में बैठकर दूर दराज इलाके से सैंपलिंग कैसे की जाती है, और उसका कैसे एक आदमी ये एतमाद करे इस पे कि ये बाकी दूर दराज इलाकों की भी सैंपलिंग इसमें शामिल है, उनकी राय भी शामिल है इसमें।
जी, यहाँ से बैठ के हम अमेरिका कैसे बात करते हैं? फोन पे, तो हमने फोन पे किया, तो वो 70% पाकिस्तान जिनके पास मोबाइल फोन्स हैं, रैंडमली नंबर जनरेट होते हैं। आप शायद उस वक्त आए नहीं है जब मैंने बताया है कि इसके अंदर कोई ह्यूमन एलिमेंट नहीं होता। देयर इज नो ह्यूमन एलिमेंट के जो किस नंबर को डायल करना है। ये सिस्टम जो है साइंटिफिकली उसको रैंडमली जनरेट करता है, खुद ही उनको करता है, और एक लाइन के ऊपर हमारे सिस्टम के मुताबिक more than 200 calls can be made simultaneously, 200 on one line, and of course it keeps in the waiting. It's a very scientific, way, digital way of doing it. उसमें फिर जाके से जो भी उठाएगा वो फोन जहाँ मर्जी लग जाएगा, वो चीचा बतनी में भी लग जाएगा, दादू में भी होगा, वो गांव में भी होगा, किसान से भी बात हो जाएगी, किसी बड़े बिजनेसमैन से भी हो सकती है। इट ऑल डिपेंड्स व्हाट इज द काइंड ऑफ कॉपरेशन लेवल ऑफ द रिस्पोंडेंट। कुछ लोग फोन उठाते ही है, इप्सोस, हु इज इप्सोस, बंद कर दिया, you can't do anything about it. But people who chose to answer, so this is what we do. So that's why we try to reach out to each and every nook and corner, of course through that system. But I mean, it is people's will, I mean, who would like to participate or they don't want to participate. Ji, please. Yeah, next thing.
Thank you. So just to understand the methodology a little bit better, the calls are made randomly.
Yes.
And so how do you ensure that a specific percentage of population from each province or each area has been covered? Because if the number is random, it's also possible that the number coincidentally is of Punjab or is of Balochistan. So if you can explain how you ensure that a specific percentage of people from each province and each region is guaranteed covered.
Okay. The good news is that we do not insure. Okay, because we believe that if the one spoon which has been taken, we do not ensure that that one spoon does include each rice grain from different places or not. We do not. We focus on its randomness, scientific randomness of that one spoon. When it comes up, then we see, that if the sample what we have achieved, ideally it should reflect the condition of the entire pot. Okay, but in case if it varying little bit, a very small percentage here and there, okay, then we weight them back. Since we know what is the proportion of Punjab population in Pakistan, of GB, of KP, urban, rural, male, female. So if there are few departures from those actual Pakistani numbers, then we weight them back the way it should be to reflect that the data what we are presenting to you, that should be representative of Pakistan. So it is not ensured at the time of data collection. We focus more on the randomization. And then once the data is completed, then we weight them back.
Okay, so once you have the data, then you make.
Then
sure
we
that
see
you-
them and how.
Okay, that's what I want.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, Sujata from Search TV. Sir, you just mentioned earlier that 6% of Pakistanis still are able to buy or can go for mega purchases. So, I just want to ask you that which income group primarily they make up from?
नहीं, वो यहाँ पर स्लाइड नहीं है, वो हमारा डेटा बाद में आप हमसे रब्ता कर लें, आपको दे देंगे। लेकिन जैसे अमजद साहब ने भी यही कहा, वो 6% वाकई ढूंढना पड़ेगा, वो किधर है, उनको जूम करना पड़ेगा।
सर ये अच्छी एफर्ट है, लेकिन मेरा इसमें क्वेश्चन ये है कि आपने ये कहा कि 11 फरवरी से 18 फरवरी
जी।
एक साल का डेटा।
नहीं, एक साल का डेटा नहीं है।
सर्वे एक साल का।
नहीं, सर्वे एक साल का नहीं है। ये इसी तरह एक हफ्ते में ही पूरा करते हैं। दिस डेटा, हाँ, कि हम रिलीज ये कर रहे हैं कि एक साल पहले ये सिचुएशन क्या थी, अब क्या है। जी।
अच्छा, सवाल सिर्फ ये है कि जो आखिरी क्वार्टर का आपका सर्वे है, उसमें पहले क्वार्टर में 8 फरवरी से, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट तो 8 फरवरी के बाद आई है।
हाँ, ठीक है।
उसमें फर्क बता दें।
देखिए, ये मुझे नहीं पता कि पिछला दफा हम जो काम कर रहे होते हैं, वो कर रहे होते हैं बाई क्वार्टर। आमतौर पे मिडल ऑफ ईच क्वार्टर जो है, जो फरवरी बनता है, उसमें हम कॉल कर रहे होते हैं। यही काम हमने पिछले साल भी किया होगा। मुझे एग्जैक्ट डेट्स का पता नहीं है, इसलिए हम डेट्स नहीं बताते, महीना बताते हैं। तो वो वहाँ पे लिखा हुआ होगा क्या, मार्च में हुआ था। अच्छा, मार्च में। वो थोड़ा सा हमने लेट किया होगा कि हुकूमत बन जाए तो फिर हम इसको स्टार्ट करें। वो 5-10 दिन आगे पीछे होने से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। जी, एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस? गुड, थैंक यू वेरी मच, इट हैज बीन रियली इंटरेक्टिव। देयर इज वन क्वेश्चन। ओके,
एक सवाल और पूछ लूं। ये जो आपका सर्वे है, क्या इससे हम ये अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि इससे जो हमारे मुख्तलिफ प्रोविंसेस हैं, उनको हम कैसे कंपेयर कर सकते हैं? और जो इसका डाटा हुआ है, जैसे अभी आपने पंजाब का जिक्र भी किया है, तो उनकी जो है कंपैरिजन के अंदर हम मुख्तलिफ सूबों के अंदर क्या चीज़ देख सकते हैं इसी डाटा की बुनियाद के ऊपर कि कितना पंजाब से सर्वे हुआ है, कितना परसेंट, कितना केपीसी हुआ है, कितना जैसे
जी
परसेंटेज भी मिल जाए।
जी, वो जो पंजाब की जो पॉपुलेशन में एक्चुअल प्रोपोर्शन है, उसके मुताबिक हमने, जैसे आपका इनका सवाल था कि वो फर्ज कीजिए कि 52% जो रिस्पोंडेंट हैं वो पंजाब से ऑटोमेटिकली निकल आए, खुद ही निकल आए। लेकिन हमने उसको करना है कि क्या बाकी 55% है, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान में इनकी आबादी जो है 55% है, तो हमने उसको वेट बैक किया हुआ है, और किसी के ज़्यादा हुए हैं उसको कम कर दिया होगा। तो वेटिंग होने के बाद ये सवाल नहीं रहता। तो जो प्रोपोर्शन एक्चुअल हैं पंजाब की, केपी की और सिंध की, वो उसी के मुताबिक ही है इसके अंदर। ठीक, रेशो इज एग्जैक्टली द सेम। जी, थैंक यू जी, बहुत शुक्रिया। और अगर मजीद सवाल आते हो तो ये इस चाय के दौरान